Hello and welcome to Efficient Cooking Without Humor, where we do what? Exactly, we cook German food. In today's episode we're gonna make a Semmelknödel, which is a very popular side dish. I don't know, there is no real English word for that, okay? People translate it with dumpling, but it's not a fucking dumpling, okay guys? It's basically a mass of old bread, some egg, milk, and some other stuff, and you put it together and you boil it like a noodle. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a great side dish for many things, and we're gonna make it right now. Okay, for the ingredients for our Semmelknödel, we will be needing semmel, which is basically rolls, bread rolls. You want them old, okay? These here are not that old because I had a couple of old bread pieces that I was collecting, but there was a mold issue and we had to get those. They are not perfect, okay? But if you get like a sourdough bread from your local bakery and made out of wheat flour, that's perfect. Just leave it for a couple of days and then you just, use that or whatever. But I tell you, don't use any of these toast or bread rolls, Hawaiian bread rolls, potato bread rolls. Don't use that because there's so much moistener and chemicals in there. It will not be a good base. The point is, this needs to be hard, okay? So, bread. Then we'll be needing onions, eggs. These are 2 eggs, but I got a double yolk issue here, so it's actually 4 yolks. Then we have milk, we have parsley, we have some flour, salt, butter, grated nutmeg and white pepper. That's it. Let's do it. So for the preparation, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut our bread rolls into fairly small pieces. The exact size is up to you. I like mine about like that, not too big, but also not too small. Then we transfer that into a bowl, add all the breadcrumbs. They are important for the texture. Next, we're gonna chop our onion fairly fine, but not too fine. I like mine like this, where you can still have a little bit of that onion bite, but they are not too big. Then, once we did that, our preparation is basically done and we can move on. Now, it is time to fry our onions. I'm using some butter, I put it into a small saucepan, add my onions, and I'll fry them until they are translucent and turn a little bit brown on the edges. Once we achieve that, it is time to add in our milk. I'm not gonna use all of the milk here. I'm gonna use about half and the rest we keep for later because the amount of milk you will need depends on how moist your bread still is. So, as I said, we're gonna keep half and adjust once we put everything together. So here we are. First we add our milk mixture to the bowl with the bread. You wanna spread this out a little bit so it kind of touches all parts of the bread initially, and always make sure to scrape out all the onions. Then we add our nutmeg, some white pepper, chopped parsley. I eyeball my parsley to be honest, but I will definitely put an exact amount in the description. We add in our eggs. The eggs always depend a little bit on the moisture of the bread too. We add in some salt, a little bit of flour. The flour is very important for the binding. So you need to get the right amount because if you add too much, it will be just too dense. As you can see here, I'm testing the dough. To do that, I always just press it together into a ball and I will see how well it sticks together. And if it's too sticky, I want to add a little bit more flour. And as you can see here, it's a little bit too dry. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'll adjust and add a little bit more milk from the milk we have left over. Be aware, do it in small steps. It's always kind of better to have it too dry and be able to add in milk than to have it be too wet and then you add flour and then it will become less and less fluffy by that point. So here you can see I'm happy with the consistency. I clean my hands, I press in the dough and we will leave it for about 20 to 30 minutes. Our knödel dough has been resting for about 30 minutes and we can finally cook it. To make sure that the salinity and the overall consistency is always perfect, I like to make a small Testknödel. I'll form it and I'll drop it into barely not boiling water that has been salted a little bit. Once the knödel is cooked after about 5 to 8 minutes, I'll take it out and I'll have a taste test. In this case, I was missing a little bit of salt, so I added that, and then I just gave the mixture a good mix and I got ready to form my knödel. I eyeball the size of my knödel just by my hands, but you can definitely weigh it and make sure you get X amount of evenly sized knödel. I recommend 80 to 100 grams heavy knödel if you do it that way. While forming the knödel, always make sure to press the mass together tightly so they don't fall apart once you start cooking. In my case, I had a little bit of a leftover, so I ended up with 6.5 knödel, but that's not a problem. You can just take the small knödel out a little bit early. After about 15 to 20 minutes of cooking, or barely not cooking, you can take them out and they are ready to eat. Okay guys, here we have it. This is our knödel. And now I'm gonna try it. Normally you eat it with, you know, some sort of meat dish, but I'm gonna have it pure today. And you know, you can already see that it's a good one because it's springy, but once you cut it, it's also a bit fluffy, so it's perfect. And let me try it. It's just perfect. It has the taste of the bread, but it's also more rich with the onions and the parsley. A little bit of that egg and everything binds it together into just such a nice side dish. I love Semmelknödel. You can eat it with many different things. The most classical thing to eat with a Semmelknödel is a Schweinebraten, which is a pork roast. It's most of the time the shoulder or the butt of the pork roasted with a crispy skin and a nice jus, like a nice sauce from some root vegetables. That is the most classical way to pair it, but you can pair it with many different things, with stews, with all kinds of meat dishes. You know, knock yourself out. It is very, very delicious. It's one of my favorite side dishes. You should definitely try that at home. In any case, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, downvote, upvote, whatever you like. Give me some feedback. In any case, I would love if you would subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. I see you next time. Bye bye und tschüss.